This is the Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. Now, here are your hosts, Cody, Kyle, and Ken.
Welcome back, guys, to Off the Break Podcast.
Hello.
I'm here on a Friday, ready to go.
Early morning coffee edition.
Oh my gosh, I've had so much coffee this morning.
And yet you still sound like you're asleep.
I know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
That's because between 6 and 7 o'clock this morning, I was in a very deep trance sleep, like very deep.
It was like Yogi Bear snoring. It was aggressive.
Yeah.
The kind of sleep she was getting.
But that's what we all dream of having.
Yeah. And
Dreaming
then
of being
at 8
in
o'clock,
Yogi Bear mode.
I woke up and I'm like, I gotta get going.
We got a podcast to do. Let's go.
There's not enough coffee.
It was like Fred Flintstone with the me. It was crazy.
I just appreciate Hanna-Barbera references today. Can we keep this going? Ken, you're the reference guy. Can you make it happen?
Yabba do.
All right. That's
We got to work up to this.
You kind of circled back to Yogi Bear, and everyone needs their coffee.
You kind of
Are there any other references?
kind of sprung this on me.
I don't know, a Judson's reference somehow thrown in there.
Hey, boo boo.
Okay, it's all Yogi Bear stuff. Okay.
Oh.
Cody's like,
I
I
have no
still,
idea.
this is too early.
Yeah, it's still too early. I'm here for the ride.
Perfect. Well, as our host,
Well,
who's along for the ride.
I guess I'm taking the reins here today. We had release changes this week.
There
All
we go,
right.
careening off cliff.
I know, right
And
off
then
the
the
train.
rates were
hey,
2
boo boo.
seconds.
The movie came off the tracks.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. Bullet Train reviews.
Hey.
We always start with release calendar changes. So, Kyle, do we have any this week? Has Sony come through for us?
Nope, nothing from Sony this week yet. It's still early in the day, so we'll see. But we do have something that changed for the month of August. 3,000 Years of Longing from United Artists has moved up its release date from August 31st to August 26th. So it's not on that weird Wednesday date.
That's such a good move. I don't know why at all United Artists wanted that August 31st date. Like,
No.
I know they were trying to get the Wednesday before Labor Day weekend, but I'm like, just nobody wants to program anything to start on a Wednesday right now. The only time we like to do this is around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like, please, can we just hold those Wednesday openings for the actual holidays?
Maybe the 4th.
Maybe the 4th.
Yeah.
Really depends on where the 4th falls, but real holidays, real big ones. I mean, this was just such a smart move, probably because they heard back from all the exhibitors. They're like, can I just play it Friday?
Are you saying the 4th of July is not a real holiday?
No, I was saying it is. I'm saying Labor Day is not.
Well, for those who
Some
love
laborers,
Labor Day weekend.
some laborers would beg to differ.
Yeah, how dare you?
Hey, Labor Day weekend is for camping, okay?
That's true.
Plain and simple. It is not for movie going. It's for camping.
4th of July is when the campers go to the movies.
Well, I can't give UA any credit for this because of how stupid it was in the beginning.
I know. Like, it feels like a late turn.
They've
like,
never-
course correction here.
At the very last minute.
Like, oh, whoops. We totally meant to do it on a Friday.
Yeah.
Who put that number
That
in
makes
there?
box office reporting and accounting so much easier. Who would have thought?
with our very extensive staff that we have currently. As Amazon is about to take the reins.
Maybe it was Amazon that came in and was like, you put this movie when? Who goes to movies on a Wednesday?
Or it wasn't Amazon because that's like when they release the rentals or movies on Prime or something. They're
Right,
like,
well-
oh yeah, Wednesday, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's our...
Then they like let Amazon play in the sandbox a little bit, and then they're like, okay, enough of the shovel, and they took it away.
Yeah. You had enough fun for one day. But the other date that change that we can talk about is this Wonder spin-off movie called Whitebird, A Wonder Story.
Speaking of fun,
It has been removed from the October 14th release date, and there is currently no date for it yet.
I knew Lionsgate doesn't know what to do with an actually good film. Like,
you think this is actually a good film?
For the last few things that they've put out there, yeah. This one actually was something that could have maybe done some business, especially among like school groups and stuff like
They
the
did
first
a
Wonder movie.
Kurt Warner biopic. They've done lots of good things.
They're at the top of their game. I mean, the Wonder movie was cute when it came out during Thanksgiving, and it did well then. But do you remember the trailer for
I know
White Bird?
this one's got, like a Holocaust thing to it, but I think that what I was hoping for with it was that people would see the Wonder part and just be like, "Oh, school groups need to come to this." Like they came out en masse for the first Wonder, and it's not as lighthearted or as I wouldn't even say that Wonder was lighthearted. It was just maybe way heavy.
Yeah,
sweet.
It was heavy, but it wasn't like Nazis and Holocaust heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, like
I'm just not surprised.
Lionsgate also has that Unbreakable Boy that they pulled quite a while from the release schedule.
Yeah.
So they've got these two sitting together.
Sitting there, just here's really nice films. We don't know what to do with them. Let's put out a horror movie.
Do you think
we do horror movies. Do
you think this right now is just because of that merger between STX and Lionsgate that's about to happen?
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're just reshuffling their cards, figuring out what
Nope,
to do?
they're putting all of their films in, we're not releasing these, so there's some intrinsic value
Yeah.
to our stock price.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that someone
sure.
can purchase
I'm sure
those.
it's posturing for this is the value of our slate versus the value of your slate you're bringing to the table. And
Yeah,
I'm kind of bummed.
And then, knowing how these film companies think about releases, Lionsgate will release like 3 films in 4 weeks and be upset we can't play them all.
Yeah, a la Universal.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's other movies? Yeah, I'm not really too sure if how well it would have done in that October calendar anyway, seeing the likes of Lila Crocodile, which could be for families anyway, but I mean, Halloween Ends will probably take up people's time, and same with Black Adam possibly.
Yeah, it was definitely counter-programming to Halloween Ends. And but I mean, right now we're looking at a October that was very similar to the May that we had, where in May we had Doctor Strange and then we had Top Gun, and we're like, oh, there's only 2 movies.
What's in the middle there?
Yeah,
and we were like, well, we've got Firestarter, we have Downton Abbey,
yeah,
we have things, but yeah, October kind of looks like that with Halloween
Ends
and Black Adam.
And that's
they're in the middle as opposed to the
right
the bookends.
Which is kind of sad. Like, I think Lyle will do okay only because it will have been after this desert of family product, like August and September desert. And so I don't know if people will be just so desperate for something that is just PG, maybe. That
sounds like you're leaning into your booking strategies for August already by saying, look at October.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you guys haven't figured out our pattern at this point.
Does anybody like sand and cactuses? Because you'll love August.
It's a desert out there, folks.
I will say, I think August is will turn out a little bit better than I had originally thought. By turning out better, I mean, I have some options. They're not good options. They're not options that I think will like really make any money. But hey, at a certain point, you need to have enough variability in your screens that it looks fresh and new. Like there's stuff happening, like there's energy and transition, and like, hey, look at this new thing. You may not want to go see it, but at least we are churning some product out. I just think that if you just hold what everybody is kind of going to and just watching it slowly die away, then you're just looking stagnant. And I don't know where the fine line is between stagnant bookings where you're just like, there's not worth bringing something new in, or that perception of energy and transition, like where you freshen up the marquee a little bit. That's kind of how I'm taking August and September. Like, let's spruce up the place. Just a little fluff of pillows here and there.
Let's be a little different.
I mean,
well, we did
no major overhauls.
Right.
We did the podcast earlier today. I wasn't sure if we'd have the Thursday night numbers.
Oh, did they come?
I've got them.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Okay. Any guesses on Easter Sunday starring Joe Coy?
I'm gonna guess less than $1 million, 750,000.
I'll go 850.
No, 500.
500K.
Okay.
I was being too hopeful.
Once it left my mouth, I was like, no, 500. He's so good. Like, Joe Coy is so good, but this was not marketed very well. It didn't play. He did great. He went out. He did his shtick. He He marketed
His
himself.
shtick.
Yeah, he marketed himself as well. He's personable. He's a comedian. He knows how to work a crowd. I don't think this was on him. I really think this is on Universal, just not promoting this with any full interest. Like, I didn't see anything anywhere promoting this film.
I think full interest is the right word. Like, never in the marketing did I feel like this comedy was funny, but it wasn't because of what the jokes were within the marketing. It was just because the marketing didn't
Like,
somehow make
yeah.
it funny. I don't know. Like, it's the weirdest way for me to explain it, but that's just the vibe that I got leading up
No,
to this.
he is the star of this movie, and the funniest person in the trailer is horny Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
that's-
that's the problem. I think they made it look like a family movie more than a comedy. And I think they needed to really play up Joe Coy front and center, his spazzy, like, energetic comedy that he does.
Mhm.
And like you said, the only funny thing was Tiffany Haddish, and that really missed the mark. I think that whoever marketed this film did not understand the audience that they were trying to market to.
I still feel like this could be a family movie, though, if it's like your kids are like around 12 or 13
no,
or
it's gonna
14.
be
Like,
it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
It's probably a very interesting film. It probably is.
Right, but you needed to go to the Joe Coy people that want to see a Joe Coy
I mean,
movie, and then they can bring their family.
He sells out the
it.
Staples Center
Yeah,
regularly,
Right.
with a Lakers play. He could easily, go over 500,000. I mean, he does shows where he does 500,000 in ticket sales.
right. So why couldn't he
Single shows.
Why would you discount that or play that down? Why wouldn't you? And all of the marketing just had all of his funny like jokes, zing, zing, zing. Him front and center. Why was his character looking like he's taking a back seat to everybody else?
Yeah.
I wish I knew.
The beaten man character.
Yeah, it felt like a beaten man. Nobody wants. That's just sad.
All
Nobody wants
right.
to see that.
Well, speaking of men getting beaten, we also had Bullet Train.
Yeah. Now that was
Okay.
good marketing.
What was the Thursday gross, do you think?
Bullet Train? I'm gonna go $1 million.
$1 million?
Only because I really liked it. Probably was closer to the 758 that we.
1.5.
More.
Yay!
Really good.
2?
More.
Wow.
4?
3?
More. 4.7 million.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a decent
That's
Thursday.
a great-
That is
Wow.
great.
A great
And this
R-rated
is
number.
for original content that wouldn't be fan base front loaded.
And R-rated for that matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
That's really exciting to hear. I mean, I still don't know if this means like it's going to be past its 30 million projections or whatever, but at least it's
I don't think,
at least it's a
yeah.
good sign that people are going to go
Well,
out and
it's
see
on.
this.
I mean, it's on par with Nope. What Nope did,
Yeah.
and Nope is, we found out is not a performer.
Right.
So this doesn't have any divisiveness. It's just a straightforward, big budget action film.
comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there were so many good parts to this, but I am very encouraged by those early show numbers. I think it's going to have excellent word of mouth. I was a little worried going into yesterday because the critics were kind of making it sound like it was bad. And after watching it, I can see exactly where we lost the critics in the point of the film, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
There is a point in the third act where I think absolutely the critics were like, no, this is stupid. This is getting gimmicky now. But it's in the train crash scene. I think we lost it.
Yeah, I think of the same part too.
Yeah, I think, but anything leading up to that, everybody left that theater that we went to for our early show, like having really enjoyed that. There was a good energy after that, and I think you're going to see that perpetuate. Now, are we going to have big numbers? I don't think we're going to have big numbers on opening weekend because it's a rated R film, but.
Mhm.
But are we going to hold up those numbers throughout the week, throughout the month of August? I think so.
But yeah, Thursday first show at 3:00 that we went to, it was half full.
Yeah, which is really good because sometimes we're the only people
Wow.
there on those early shows.
Yeah.
Now it was a
Mhm.
small auditorium and it was the first one, and I
But
hate
it was
that one. But that's
but it was
okay.
60 tickets probably in that auditorium, so
Yeah.
that's a solid number.
Yeah.
I mean, 4.7 is nothing to scoff at for
No.
a Thursday show.
No,
Not anymore.
no, it's exciting. That's why
Yeah,
I
you
was, like,
can see
really-
us popping the champagne right now. You can hear it over the mics.
I think Sony maybe has too high of expectations for it for sure, but it definitely delivers.
But a $35 million opening isn't asking for a lot from a movie that opens to this on
Mhm.
Thursday.
But Nope only did what, 20? or did it do?
It was
it
about
50?
40.
It did 40.
It did 40.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, 35 should
Because
be.
Us was 75. That's what the number was.
Yeah, everyone
throwing
was
us off
freaking out between the two.
because it wasn't on par with Us.
Well, so
The greatness that Us is.
Ken and I both really enjoyed this. What was your take on it, Kyle?
No, I had a blast with this as well. A lot funnier of a movie than I expected it to be, even though like it was shown in the trailers. But that comedy style at least reminded me of this director trying to make like his own version of a Guy Ritchie movie.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
And as well as like with some of the action that was involved in it as well. But I thought it was very enjoyable because it was the type of action movie where you can enjoy the characters enough, but you don't have to take every aspect of the movie too seriously at the same time.
I
Like,
hate to interrupt you, Kyle.
yeah, go.
Cody said Guy Ritchie, like, oh, that's a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah,
Cody named
like Sherlock Holmes.
named
yeah.
name three.
That is a Guy Ritchie
no,
movie.
name
It
three
is.
Guy Ritchie movies
Yeah.
that are set in Guy Ritchie's specifically known style. Three, just three.
I can't use Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2.
No,
Oh,
I liked Sherlock Holmes though.
I like
so
them, but it
did
wasn't.
he do In Bruges?
No, but In
Oh,
Bruges
darn
is
it.
a great movie though.
Did he do Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels?
Yeah,
Okay.
One.
and that's one that I was thinking of too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aladdin.
No. I
The
forgot
Aladdin
that he did that
sequel.
one. It's like he did do one recently, but
Yeah,
not.
yeah, he did.
Oh, what was the
He,
one?
he did, and it was in Guy Ritchie style, and I
I
actually
know.
really enjoyed it.
I know. I can't remember the name. Okay, I feel like I did okay though. Come on.
She did get one
Yeah.
One out
Without
of
I
the
help.
could see it.
without us pushing her into what movie to say.
Yeah.
The Gentleman was the one
Okay.
that
yeah,
he just did.
Gentleman
Yeah.
could be in that
Yeah.
same vein. Snatch could be in that same
Yes.
vein. But no, that's
I
what.
think I knew enough to know what his style was. I mostly thought it looked like Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock
it
Holmes
had
is great though.
That slow down, like really stylized action fighting in it. I know. Why are you looking at me like that?
There was no
That's
slow down.
Yeah, there
in
was.
Sherlock, no, there was.
It wasn't
Yeah,
that.
and he would talk about it and like how he punched the guy.
in
and-
Sherlock Holmes, yes,
Yeah.
not in this movie.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, there was.
No, there was at one point where there was one slow motion thing. Everything else was in
but
at normal
he
speed.
He still had like that quick fighting style in that Sherlock Holmes movie. Why are we getting in this conversation? I was right. Just let it go.
I didn't know I'd open this can of worms, but I should have seen it coming.
I should
No,
have seen
he's
it
just
coming.
poking the bear right now. He's doing it on purpose, and I cannot like navigate my way out of it because he knows that
You're welcome, everybody.
knows I will engage.
Happy Friday. Cody can't. She can't not defend herself. She's a honey badger, folks.
Like a Wolverine.
Don't let that blonde hair fool you. That's all honey badger under there.
Well, you guys can now chime in and have your own thoughts about the movie as well.
Well, I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't like my companions there. They were stinky.
Egging you on.
They were horrible. They talked in the movie. Just real right jerks.
There was a guy that was sitting like 3 seats away from us that had the crazy like John Ratzenberger laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And
I might have heard that laugh before, actually. Like some of my other movies, too.
it was so outrageous. Like we went with somebody else, and me and our guest were laughing at ourselves, listening to this guy laugh because it was such an epic laugh.
I bet you it's that guy that I'm thinking of. Because last year, I almost went to like the same screens as this one particular person who had like the craziest like laugh, like what you're describing.
Is it a bigger guy?
I can't tell. Like I
Oh.
can't
You're in the
tell
dark.
in the dark. I can't tell who it is. I'm just glad like I don't run into this person anymore. Because at first like it was funny, but then since I go to the movies so many times and apparently this guy does too, like I hear it and I'm like, oh my god, this guy needs to stop. It's not funny anymore.
We have certain seats that we like to get in every one of our screenings. It's like middle, front row, like kind of on the aisle. I usually like to be up further, but this affords us the ability to put our feet up on the rail
Because we have crappy seats.
Because we have such crappy seats.
Yeah.
You got to do something. And
Gotta bring a
otherwise,
pillow.
I'm dead center middle of all of the speakers up high enough that the screen's not below you or too far above you. You're right in line with it. Anyways, we can get in the dynamics of where the best seat is in the cinema another time. But Ken informed me, he's like, we didn't get our usual seats. We're to the right. And I'm like, oh, somebody beat us to it. Well, in walks these like couple guys. And I was like, those douchebags took my spot. Like I could tell already. Like
Yeah.
I knew.
They had that walk
just,
to them.
No, I just like
the best seats.
these guys, they go enough. They know where the good seats are. Like we connected, and sure enough, they kind of followed me in, and then I sat down, and then they had to like scoot by me. And I'm like, I knew it. I knew.
Okay.
Knew. So then I tune everything out when I watch a movie, so I did not hear this.
She
booming
didn't hear
laugh.
this guy's voice.
You're
but
so
it was,
lucky.
I just tune it out. Like,
I don't run into him anymore, but it still haunts my dreams.
I forgot Ken was sitting next to me until I had to get up to use the restroom, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, excuse me."
You know what I found out interesting about this yesterday when I was getting keys for folks?
Mm-hmm.
Bullet Train is only in 5.1.
You know,
Okay.
it's hard to tell that from our crappy theater
Mhm.
that has like that. I feel it forgets to turn on the surround sound because I think speakers are broken in there.
Yeah.
But that's weird. I would think that with all of that action, you would have done something.
Well, I mean, they
little bit
have
more
an
mixed.
Atmos track, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't think you'd have 5.1 into Atmos. It would be 7.1
Right.
Dolby
And then
into Atmos. But they had
Mm-hmm.
5.1, which I just thought was strange. I was trying to find it for places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there's only 2 tracks. It's either 5.1, which is basic standard, or we have Atmos. There's no in between.
Well, somehow in the screening I was in, I was like, oh, this sounds actually good. This is a dream. But the fact that it is only in 5.1, I was just like, wow, really? It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
for sure.
oh no, there's a mysterious beeping going on in our like kitchen utility room, and so
The only good thing
It
is
is
it's
freaking
intermittent
us
and
out.
it doesn't speed up. It's not like beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, you're like, and I don't see any smoke, so I think we're okay. I bet they can't even hear it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering
I
if
know.
when we
But
It's just
listen back
bothering
on
us.
this,
they have to see us all stop or like.
It's
what
gonna
is
mention
that?
it.
Like we're all
Okay. So what was your takeaway
Okay.
on Bullet
All right,
Train?
this was my takeaway. I really enjoyed it. It was funny. To Kyle said, I thought all the characters were different, very well acted, and very interesting characters. Like there wasn't a boring character on there. Like, and this film needed to have you be invested in everyone because there's a lot. And my only like sad part is that some of them didn't get as much screen time as others, but they were still all super good characters. The big bad white death character that was the overarching bad guy in the whole thing.
Mhm.
Ken was really excited who the actor was that played that, Michael Shannon. I secretly kind of wished it was Mickey Rourke. I don't know why. I just wanted Mickey
didn't-
Rourke.
I think it's the hair.
Yeah, I think when I saw the scraggly hair and the kind
Yeah.
of weird Russian accent, I was like, oh, Mickey Rourke.
Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted a bit of that back with because he has that like, no, I'll F you up
Mhm.
attitude, and I just don't care like he did in Iron Man 2. And so I wanted that
I'm
character
glad they
back.
had like a real actor in the role.
What
But
are
I
you
was
saying about Mickey Rourke? Come on. When has anybody ever been like, I want him in this?
With Mickey Rourke?
Yeah.
Never.
I know. I was
not
surprised.
since '87.
I
He was just
I
like
would
he's
have
been the
loved that.
fourth choice for a lot of
Right.
these. I didn't watch anything or read anything about this film after I saw the trailer because I was hoping to be surprised by it, and
Yeah.
I'm glad it was Michael Shannon because he's a great actor.
Yeah.
But I was hoping it was something like way over the top. Now my thoughts were like Tom Cruise pops out of this thing, or Tom Hanks with a
Right.
crazy Russian accent like in the terminal, and everybody is scared to death of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
He just slices and dices people up.
That's okay. I want an action movie with Tom Hanks. I guess he's never done. Has he done an action movie?
Well,
Tom
I
Hanks?
mean,
Am I
Well,
missing
Saving-
on
isn't
something?
Saving Private Ryan is
Oh,
action
okay,
movie.
fine. Okay, I think that okay,
I mean, it's
that
a
will
period
count.
piece, but it's a
It's a war movie,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
okay, fine. That was a dumb question, but that would but an over
Turner
the
and
top one-
Hooch.
Yeah.
Joe versus the volcano. Anyone?
He runs with the dog, right? It's
He's a cop.
yeah.
He has a gun.
There's action in the field.
So I will say that in the third act, there's this huge like train crash scene. Like they take the bullet train off the rails and it crashes. I think during that scene is where they lost the critics, because you get this like really cheesy slow-mo like Brad Pitt flying through the different cars, you know, just, or it's so unbelievable that anybody would survive that part. And so that's where I think the critics lost it, but it wasn't terrible. And I just think there's one scene at the very end of the movie that the special effects, they were like, we ran out of budget, so do you know what I mean? That where the guy gets shot and
where someone's head explodes.
Someone's head explodes, but it's fuzzy. Like there's half of it that's fuzzy. And
the last 10 minutes I thought looked fuzzier than the rest of the movie.
Like
and I did get that sense too. I was like, this feels like they weren't sure how to end this movie, and then they found a way, but that's when the budget was already taken.
Right, like you just like another $1 million, and they could have gotten that special effect. And it was one, and it really stood out as shockingly. Like you were like, you didn't finish that.
But here's the thing, though. Like, at least the majority of the movie leading up to that last, 10, 15 minutes, maybe.
So buttoned up.
Exactly. So you can almost be forgiving about it. You don't want it to not look good.
Right, but you forgive them. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
And that's what I think a lot of people who make movies or in the business need to realize, is that it doesn't really matter about the special effects. Like, we do want them to be good, but if you are able to tell a good story within it, then it could like be forgiven enough. And I think Bullet Train is kind of a good example of that.
We wished it was 90 minutes, but it was a solid 2 hours of film.
It could have been trimmed.
For scheduling.
Really?
For scheduling.
After watching it, I was like, I don't know where they would have trimmed it. What would you have trimmed out to get it down?
I don't know. I mean, that was kind of another issue that I had as well, was that there was just so much connectivity, which did like make it fun and help make me like the characters. But at the same time, with how the movie is laid out, with the fast pacedness of it all, I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe like the length of the movie should also be, I don't know if it should be 90, but maybe like 100, or just not to where it's like that over 2 hour feeling that I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was perfectly well paced.
Okay.
There wasn't anything I would have cut from it. And I think that I liked how all the characters, there was a storyline that connected them all in kind of a weird way, but it made sense at the end. And I like how they like spoon fed it to us. I didn't want to have to think about it. It wasn't a multiverse where my brain exploded. It was literally just like, these events happened in real life. It's very plausible how these characters came together. And I like that. I liked how that worked.
Yes. This was, I'm going to hold on to your seat. This was similar to a Guy Ritchie movie.
What?
In which they used
like
Sherlock Holmes, right?
In which they used linear storytelling with flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They didn't show you things out of place, but they did show you the story, and then, so much exposition. But I needed it. I mean, there were so many characters in this.
Right.
Yeah.
But they went back and used flashbacks to complete the story, and that's what I liked about it. That was the thing that I was missing most from Nope, was any sort of explanation.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And
this kind of went the other way.
I mean, it could literally have been one sentence, like, this is why the alien is here. Give me that.
We won't rehash the Nope issues.
Maybe it was just hungry.
We're moved on from
As
that.
much as I like Bullet Train, I saw another movie this week I liked better.
Better.
Yes.
What?
I was with you for this, so I'm very curious on.
That's crazy, because I did not see this other better movie, but the fact that I even enjoyed Bullet Train with you is pretty good. I think speaks to how well that movie is. So.
I am
Great time.
probably my weak point in films. I love a fish out of water story. For some reason, it just cracks me up to no end.
Yeah.
When it's a dog protecting a town full of cats, or somebody from New York and Texas is crazy. But Kyle and I snuck out to see Vengeance, written and directed by B.J. Novak.
Yeah, from Focus Features.
Yep. And I really, really enjoyed this film.
And I did too. Well, because I walked into it pretty blind. I even for like working in this industry to a degree, I just did not really look too closely into what this movie was. So sneaking out and watching it with you, I was very impressed by what this movie was able to accomplish. Like a funny murder mystery, which I'm glad those are like kind of becoming the thing now. But it also had like a layer of fish out of waterness to it that didn't feel, I don't know, didn't feel cheesy or didn't feel cliched. Like it felt pretty realistic to where I could buy into like what he's having to go through from being from New York and landing in like middle of nowhere, Texas. And it just led to some great comedy moments.
Yeah. And normally they screw this up, and when they integrate things like of our current technology of podcasts, of phones, of talking about servers, they make it either so dumbed down or so aggressive.
Right.
But this was right down the middle. Everybody knows what a podcast is. Mm-hmm. And it if you didn't know, it explained it. They had a podcast producer that was part of this, and she was amazing.
Yeah.
She was great in this. BJ Novak was great in this. The family from Texas
was
excellent.
Hilarious.
They were really funny. And Ashton Kutcher was a fun surprise.
Yeah.
I knew he was in it, but him actually, showing off some chops other than dude.
No, I agree with you with Ashton Kutcher. It was a character I didn't expect from him to play, but he did a good job. Like, I can't really remember me saying that about Ashton Kutcher role, despite me enjoying him in like things such as comedies. So he was very good.
Yeah. It didn't do it.
You have no questions for us?
No,
it didn't.
Because Ken and I talked about it before.
I had to.
I asked him who the bad guy was that murdered the girl, and I had a feeling I knew who it was, and I was right.
That is the one thing I will say
you
is
only
like
have so many characters. It's obviously gonna be. It's not gonna be somebody from the shadows. It was somebody in the trailer.
Just the way that they use the characters too. I was like, well, I'm starting to narrow it down, and I don't like doing that in mystery movies. I like to shut off my brain and try to like be surprised at the end, but with this movie, I will say, despite me enjoying the mystery part of it, even I was like, it's probably gonna be this guy. But how it ties into like the themes of this movie and what happened exactly, I thought that was actually a pretty good touch. It gave it
an ending, and it was a secondary to the surprise twist when the third act started.
Yeah,
the family like, oh yeah, by the way.
Ken did say that like the way he said the film ended kind of surprised me. Like it just sounds like it, they kill the bad guy and then life goes on.
In a focus film, a Searchlight film, an A24 film, the protagonist confronts the antagonist and the movie ends.
Yeah.
Like that's how they end.
Sure.
Right.
These art films. But this gave us an ending.
Right. Killed the bad guy and moved on with life. That still bothers me a little bit because I like to know, like, did he get away with it? Like, can you get away with killing somebody and then not have repercussions? But that's fine.
Technically, without giving too much away, they both did. They both did.
Oh.
And no one has seen this movie outside of Ken and I, so everyone's like, I don't know what this means.
Right. The national gross is $18.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty good. I hope this gets I don't know, whether people see it in theaters or somewhere else. I hope people find this movie.
Do you think this movie benefited, even though it didn't make a splash in theaters, having benefited from going to theaters?
I think so, because it kind of loops back to what I just said 30 seconds ago, that I hope people find this movie.
No, but I'm saying,
hopefully the theatrical
this would have
part of it
disappeared. You would have had to have been
right.
Specifically,
if it was on streaming, it would have.
If it would have, yes, exactly.
You would have really had to be a BJ Novak or Ashton Kutcher fan.
And even Ashton Kutcher fans are like, he's back?
Yeah.
I thought he was investing in crypto or whatever.
He never left. I watch him on TBS every day at 4:30.
That 70s show reruns, right? That's what we're all watching.
They're making a That 90s show now.
Of course they are.
I thought they already did.
I don't
I think
care.
They're starting it, but interesting about that. Well, that kind of brings us into our next topic about Warner Brothers shaking things up. We had that Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Discovery is best known for reality show content, and they did really well during
Shark Week.
And Shark Week, and they did really well.
Thank you, Ken.
During the pandemic with their reality show stuff, so they were on a pretty strong footing. And during the pandemic, I think Warner's suffered. They did a lot of experimenting with theatrical windows, day and date streaming, trying to get HBO Max up. And so now with these two coming together, we're going to get a different approach to, Warner's distribution. And it's
the biggest news this week is that the new CEO is shelving a $90 million film.
That's done shooting.
Yeah, that's done. It's completed, or not completed, but it's done
Principal
shooting.
was done. They were just fine tuning a little bit.
But even still, 90 million. This guy is meaning business. Apparently, this movie was also like a Batgirl movie, by the way, a DC movie. But it's first off, that's just never happens. Like that rarely happens, I imagine. But it's just funny that this news about Batgirl is no longer going to be releasing anywhere, like not even theaters, just not even streaming. It's just gone. It never happened. But it's that shocking. To go into this larger overall scale of what Warner Bros. Is going to be doing differently.
And they also had a second Scoob movie.
I know.
That completely disappeared also.
Never heard about this
which
movie
we haven't heard about, and I'm sure because it's animated and it takes forever to make. But just gone.
So they shelved these films for a couple of reasons. One was when you do like a merger and stuff, you get an opportunity to do some accounting and some rearranging of debt. And I think that these films fell victim to that. Like they took an opportunity to move some of the debt to other stuff. So that happened. But also there was this overarching strategy change where before there was such an emphasis on streaming. The future was going to be on streaming. Well, in the 2 years of the pandemic, we realized streaming's great, and it is definitely, you've got to do it to diversify, but it is not going to be the end all be all because you don't make any money on streaming.
But Spider-Man.
So obviously you have to have a theatrical, and we had been trumping that theatrical horn for years now on this. I mean, even before the pandemic, when Netflix was trying to get into Academy Awards, and we were like, no, you cannot have this. You are not real movies. You need to go to theaters. That experience of going and seeing in the theater legitimizes it on so many different levels. And it was just really hard for us to articulate that. But now corporate America, the corporate overlords are seeing that. And I guess we should have been more patient. That what we were saying anecdotally would have come to fruition, that there would be no money at the pipelines. Like, why would I spend any money on your streaming service to see garbage? Mm-hmm. Because you've made it garbage, because you've not given it any filtering, any legitimacy by putting it in theaters. Because not every movie goes to theaters. And so only the special, I like to say best ones, but sometimes a turd comes through. Like, nope, but we won't go there.
But Warner Brothers has been very good. I mean, historically, I'm propping up the industry. Like, they have so many releases.
They have so many releases. They market them really well. They're very friendly with exhibitors on their terms. Like, they are one of the easiest, best studios to work with, and you want to work with them because their content's really good.
But now they're going to limit these films most likely.
But now we're just getting into the age where even that studio is going to start eliminating its slate. But on the other side, they're not going to just put production dollars straight to movies that are going right to streaming. And I think that's what a big nix of the Batgirl movie was like, you put a lot of production dollars into a movie that was supposed to go just to streaming, and
it's not even good for streaming.
It's not even good for streaming. It's not good for theatrical. We can never retain extra value from this. That was just wasted money. And I like to see that they're not going to waste production dollars on that anymore.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm going to be the most positive about here, in terms of the theater industry, is that it seems like they're going to make sure, one, movies are for where they should go first, theatrical, but two, they're not going to put so much of their money into just making anything, whether regardless of if it's theatrical or streaming. They're going to try their best to make sure like it's going to be the best quality for the best viewing experience, which is theaters. So but there's a much other stuff that goes deeper into this Warner Bros. Stuff that I don't necessarily like, but that's definitely like at the top of my list where I'm the most happy with.
Yeah, Warner Brothers shelves Batgirl, but they release Matrix Revolutions.
Yeah, like
but they release the Suicide Squad.
Right. It's just and that's the thing too. Like, I mean, they can say that, oh, we're gonna make sure this is the best quality possible. Well, yeah, but you're also working with people and artists. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be great. We hope it's great, but so it's also like, you know, corporate speak at the same time, which we also have to take with a grain of salt. But it gives me hope that they at least think about theatrical first and they spend their money wisely to push that the movie theaters.
Yeah, exactly.
And that doesn't mean just because they shelved it now that they can't take that and turn it into a series or clean it up for HBO Max. I mean, it's possible. You may not have seen. It's not like this may never see the light of day.
Yeah.
It's just probably not in a film form, and they probably need to have a big talk about what to do with it.
This felt like a line in the sand, though. Very rarely do we get these announced. I mean, we're on big budget things. So it was very interesting that this happened. I mean, it was this new CEO basically throwing down like, I'm not releasing this garbage.
And that's the thing that I'm kind of liking out of this CEO. It feels different from, excuse me, all these other CEO changes from all these different types of studios. This seems like a guy who's coming in and is saying, like, we have to be much more strategic and much more careful with what we're making. Like, we can't just be on a whim throwing out whatever.
So it's been interesting. We always talk about how the theatrical legitimizes the value in the film. It actually brings value because of the filtering process, the perceived, like, movies just don't go to theaters unless they're worth you spending your money on. The act of actually going to the movie and spending money to buy a ticket to see something gives it more value than getting something for free. And I found it funny that we've just not maybe on this podcast articulated that as very well. And now in the corporate world, they're calling it that films gain cultural relevance and that gives them more value. And it's just funny, like, when you hear corporate speak around like something you knew intrinsically in the behavior. But
there were stats, there were graphs, there were things that showed us this.
Right.
There's a reason why Spider-Man isn't on streaming yet, because they're trying to get as much money out of this as possible before they sell it to a streamer. But it will be there. It's going to end up on a Netflix or an HBO Max or
eventually
for a shitload of money.
Yeah.
They're going to make a ton of cash on this.
I wonder if Disney is learning this lesson in some regards because they're taking their heavy-duty billion-dollar theatrical properties and they're like, we need to expand these universes. And then while they're not putting them on Disney Plus, like, as movies themselves right away, they are expanding these TV shows out, these shows, and they may only have 6 to 10 episodes. But I just wonder, with the way things have been soft, especially on Thor and stuff, that they're not oversaturating the supply of all of their product, to the point where you just don't care anymore.
Devaluing it.
Yeah.
Through oversaturating the market.
Not that these aren't big films still, but would you be interested in another Star Wars film when you have Mandalorian and you have Kenobi and
and historically it's like 2 Marvel movies a year, and then we had 1 Avengers a year. And that's what it was. But after that point, and then all the content on streaming just,
like
devalued
Disney announced a new Avengers movie, and I was not excited about it at all. I was like, who's going to be the Avengers? You've killed off all the ones I like. And it's all in these new TV shows. And if you're not super plugged into all that, like, you're just, you're not having a film that can be accessible by all audiences.
Okay. Yeah. She's already in a bad mood, Kyle. You ready for me to poke the bear?
Oh, no.
Yes, now I am.
Okay. This same CEO that we're excited about these changes he's making and shoving products also wants to have a negotiable theatrical window.
Oh, I know. You gotta wait for what he says in the next line. Like, he's like, we believe in theatrical with a flexible windowing option.
Yeah, we heard this back in 2021. Get a new routine, buddy.
Yeah.
Everyone else already tried this.
I know. Like,
have you ever heard of Trolls World Tour?
That was the other side of it, to where I'm worried about what's to come.
Me too. Like, because I feel like Universal is still navigating this. Like, they still, their issue is like, well, we have 21 days, but if our film is performing, you need to hold it in your theater and you need to support us. And we're like, why? Why, when my customer can go out and go see it on Peacock, why would I want to support you on this?
Plus, from probably a booking standpoint, you probably could see a theater that, is a movie could be doing well in one location and then somewhere else on the other side of America,
drops off.
the same movie just drops off. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like why?
Like,
why
what's
are
the
you-
measurement there?
Why are you self-sabotaging
Yeah.
on this?
Oh, no. And we have, I mean, the best example of this right now is Paramount. They have all these releases this year on a strict 45-day window. 45 days, it's going to Paramount Plus, and nothing has really, they've all performed, but they haven't gone like above and beyond. So Scream and Jackass and Sonic all go after 45 days. Everything shows up there after 45
Right.
days.
Except for Top
Then
Gun.
Top Gun comes around, and they're like, oh, we got to milk this for all it's worth. It's like, yeah, you could have done this with the other titles as well.
Right.
Like, there was still money left in these titles.
The only one was Paws of Fury, but theaters were telling you that you wasted this film. Like, you putting it in this release date wasted it, so you might as well put it on Paramount Plus.
August or September.
Yeah.
It was right there.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you had
end of
you
August.
had Minions, and then you had an animated superhero movie with Dwayne Johnson.
Like,
and
right
your
after.
lead is Michael Cera.
Yeah. Like Michael who? Anymore?
Michael Cera could take Dwayne.
Yeah.
Take Dwayne out to the
Tell
movies.
me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Right.
No. So
On that hot take.
I know we're still experimenting with this stuff. I feel like we're just blowing out into the ether. Like, give us windowing back. It doesn't have to be the 90 days. We're not asking for that anymore. 45 days is great.
Yeah.
Just give us consistent windowing. Don't, put quality film, pay money, marketing spends, quality films in theaters, and you will see them as investments for further revenue down the line. You got to start treating these films as not only creative, cultural investments, but strategic business investments as well. And when you have an investment, you put money into that and you get a return down the road.
And it does seem like this guy understands the investment part, which is why I think he's wanting to make sure to pull back on how much money to spend on not only theatrical movies, but also in the streaming aspect. But it is weird at the same time that despite thinking of these as investments, they're still wanting this flexible window option because that doesn't feel like you want to capitalize enough on your investment.
Right.
It's very odd. I don't really understand.
They just want all the control. And I get that.
Yeah.
It's their product. They want all the control. But my only concern with this guy, besides the flexible windowing, was that he came from reality shows, which cost nothing to make.
Mhm.
They don't barely even pay these people to be on them. It's just like cheap content. And I don't want him to bring that same philosophy to filmmaking. Like, filmmaking is completely different. You have to pay for production. You have to pay, or there is a quality there, and that's why that quality makes it into theater. And if you don't pay for that quality, I'm not saying you need a $200 million movie. I think that's ridiculous anymore, but there should be a certain spend level and quality level that you need to make sure that is there all the time. And I could see him stumbling on the next few projects under his watch where he's like, no, cut the budget. And then he gets a turd of a film and he's like, what happened? We had the best creative talent on this. Well, you didn't give him any money to work with. And it shows. It will show up visually on this.
Yeah, that's my worry too. I hope that at least with his background, he can lead in the best artists to be able to make the best stuff. But it's like you said, if he's had a background to where he understands how to make product for cheap, then does that mean that's also going to translate into giving like that cheap amount of money to those same artists? And on top of that, since, he cut a lot of movies, like the Batgirl movie, for example, that's probably not going to be a good look for other filmmakers and writers and stuff to where they're like, I mean, I kind of would like my movie to be released, good or bad. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting to see how how this all fleshes
Because
out.
even when Disney bought Fox and they didn't get the best slate of films, they still released them all.
Yeah, and they worked behind the scenes, whether
Yeah.
they were theatrical or streaming, to give them their money's worth, I'm sure.
But they used
But
them.
New Mutants,
Yeah.
they still released it.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was pandemic time and they did it as a write-off, but they still put it out there.
I mean, we have
for them to write off Batgirl completely and not to like rework it into something.
We
I
have
think is
Barbarian
very
coming up.
short-sighted.
Yeah, and I didn't like that part,
Yeah.
we have Barbarian
That's
coming
true.
up.
We're still getting
we're still getting
Fox titles.
which is
Yeah.
surprising. I thought for sure it would have been done with at this point, but it goes deeper than I thought it did.
I mean, there's a whole slate of Fox stuff that they're.
And Fox was a big releaser before this too. They were on par with Warner Brothers. Before they got bought by Disney, where you had 2 films a month.
Right.
Pretty consistently.
Yeah, felt like it.
I am concerned that he's going to pull back. Like, we have gotten through our slate pretty well because you get it. You can go the Disney route where you have like 6 films a year, one every couple months, and they make big splashes. They're big tent poles, but but they aren't consistent, and so it's hard sometimes when you want to book them to always give them their just space, because you're not really consistently helping us out here. But that's been okay, and they've been able to get away with that, and theaters have been able to maintain, because theaters are got to be a healthy ecosystem, because Warner's and Universal have stepped up and they put out enough product that it gets you through those times. What happens when you all have 6 films a year or 10? What happens when they all pull back? You're going to see an issue in the theatrical ecosystem. Now you're starving it of content. And so there is a fine balance there. You've realized that theatrical gives your films value. You realize that you need them, and you can't help. You're not going to make it all on streaming. You're never going to get a direct to consumer relationship where you retain enough value on your content. It's just not going to happen. So you need this filtering effect from the theaters. But if you starve them of content, that filtering effect is going to have diminishing returns. So
I've been trying to add to the conversation. Kyle, Michael Cera could not beat Dwayne Johnson at a game of Yahtzee.
That was so,
you don't know that.
That was so
he could be a great Yahtzee player.
No.
Even if he is ranked the world's best Yahtzee player, Dwayne Johnson will smolder at him and he will fold.
Michael Cera is shifty, though. He has to get eye contact for the smoldering to work.
No, he is. Dwayne Johnson is more everything than Michael Cera. I mean, I was even trying to think of things that Michael Cera is better at than Dwayne Johnson, like being the awkward white guy.
Yeah.
Or the awkward teenager.
Yeah.
That's what he's known as.
At age 40, he can still pull it off. Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen Jumanji, where Dwayne Johnson plays the awkward guy? He does it better than
that's
Michael Cera.
That's a good point.
There is no part of Michael Cera. Nothing.
I can't believe that joke actually had like a really good point to it. Like, I was like, how is there going to be a connection between these? Oh yeah, Jumanji. Okay. Oh, I might have to take the L on that one.
Yeah.
I still believe in you. I still believe in you, Mike. That's what I call him.
It's so ridiculous. You just got to ignore it that it happened and be like, I hope nobody picked up on that.
Did you just call him Mike? Mike Cera is a completely different actor than Michael Cera. Mike Cera is like a third grip. Hey, yo, I'm Mike Cera. Oh my God. I'm just going to keep trashing Kyle, so I'm done for today.
Yeah. I think I'm done too.
All right. On that note, folks, we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Michael Cera had a wrestling name, it would be like
Mike Stream Bean Cera.
Yeah. Dwayne the Rock Johnson, Michael the Sock Johnson. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Off the Break Podcast. Find us on all podcast platforms or at screeninsider.co. And be sure to like and follow our Facebook and Instagram pages at Off the Break Podcast.